Hello, my name is Steven Arietta, and the topic we are discussing today has to do with learning from home during the pandemic. Is staying at home a bad thing for today's students or a beneficial part of learning? Due to a recent pandemic that has spread across the globe, schools have decided to shut down and begin having their students stay at home to continue their education there. Some people believe that staying at home and doing online school is not a good alternative for students, as it can lead to students not wanting to do their work and therefore failing. On the other hand, there are people who think that staying at home may provide more assistance to students than if they were there at school. The first point we're going to go over is whether or not online schooling can be helpful compared to in-person schooling. A report written April 1st, 2020 by Education Week states that unlike a lot of in-class schooling, online school provides opportunities for students. Students in a school that do not offer statistic classes may be able to learn statistics with virtual lessons. If students fail algebra, they may be able to catch up during evenings or summer using online classes and not disrupt their math trajectory at school. So, almost certainly, online classes sometimes benefit students. Going with that logic, say that students are in school and in a math class, and they need to get help for a piece of homework they just don't understand. They would have to use a textbook like this to go around for the certain pages and find an example that may or may not only have one way to do the assignment, and therefore not really help them that much. Well, if it were to be an online class, the student would have a much easier time going onto the internet and looking for a video that has multiple ways of completing the work and therefore helping them much better. These are some examples as to how online school can be very helpful to students opposed to in-person schooling. Now, there was a study that was published on June 5th, 2020 by the New York Times that states that new research suggests that by September, most students will have fallen behind where they would have been if they had stayed in the classroom, with some losing the equivalent of a full year's worth of academic gains. Racial and socioeconomic achievement gaps will most likely widen because of the disparities in access to computers, home internet connections, and direct instruction from student to teacher. The concern here is that high school dropout rates will increase, while younger children could miss out on foundational concepts in phonics and fractions that prepare them for life of learning and working. The average student could begin the next school year having lost so much as a third of the expected progress from the previous year in reading and half the expected progress in math. According to the working paper from NWEA, a nonprofit organization, and scholars from Brown University and the University of Virginia, a separate analysis of 800,000 students from researchers at Brown and Harvard looked at how Zearn, an online math program, was used before and after schools closed in March. It found that through late April, students' progress in math decreased by about 0.5% in the classrooms located in low-income zip codes, by a third in the classrooms in middle-income zip codes, and not at all in classrooms in high-income zip codes. This is extremely important because not all students are able to have a good online school experience, let it be from not having internet access or not being able to have good internet connection that may cost more than the standard internet connection. This is a reason why some people believe that online schooling can be very negative towards students that are less fortunate and cannot afford the better internet like others can. A study from the George Lucas Educational Foundation states that increasingly teachers in their audience have reported a handful of their students, shy kids, hyperactive kids, highly creative kids, are suddenly doing much, much better with remote learning than they were doing in the physical classroom. But apart from that, they clearly state that this is not the same for the other students and that many students are struggling to adapt to remote learning. Digital access and connectivity remain a persuasive equity issue. Stay-at-home orders have magnified existing problems in family dynamics. Teachers and students grapple with how to replace the engagement and discourse from an in-person classroom. But it's not a tiny handful either. And the unplanned break from the physical classroom may be bringing to light hidden reasons some kids struggle while others succeed. In the reasons gathered from educators, it is found that there are recurring themes like social situations and the inflexibility bell schedule that simply don't work for all kids. This can be very helpful for teachers to understand when it is time to re-enter the classroom to begin teaching and learning in a physical classroom. To conclude, the growing increase in online schooling does have its ups and downs, but I do believe that with more time and patience from both students and the teachers, this will be a better alternative for a lot of students rather than being in a physical classroom. If there is a mutual understanding between student and teacher, there will be more productivity and work being done. Back to the thesis, as to saying, is it good? Is it good for students? Is it good for not students? We're all going through this together, but if we attempt to do our best and communicate with one another, then we will be able to meet our own expectations and not let ourselves down.